All right. All right. That was
There it was. There it
wow.
was. That's our intro.
Hello. My name's Davis, currently podcasting with Kyle and Brandon.
Hello.
We do a podcast. Oh yeah, there's Brandon. Kyle, would you like to say hello?
Hey guys.
We do a podcast now called Optional Opinions. That's plural. And we today are going to talk about the movie I Am Mother on Netflix. It's a sci-fi thing, and yeah, I thought that it was really good. Um, I liked it a lot. I liked the sci-fi. I mean, I just am a really big fan of sci-fi things in general. I like sci-fi books and podcasts and fantasy stuff. So that was I was already pretty on board. Like I tell my brother anytime you see like in like a movie or a trailer for a movie, anytime there are people that start talking about like cool names for things like the wastes and like start having groups of names for things and stuff like that, like I am 100% on board. Like in Divergent, like these are the Divergents and these are the Dauntless, and like you got me there. So I probably am biased, but I like the movie a lot. Um, I'm gonna put it at an 8.0. Yeah, Brandon, what did you feel about it?
I really enjoyed it. I'd probably give it around like a 7.5. I feel like I'm a little bit of a harsher movie critic than you, Davis. And
I think you are.
I wish I would have watched it a second time before recording this, just to like be able to see things like knowing the ending. And I think I might have appreciated it a little bit more. But we'll get into that a little bit later. I'm a big sci-fi fan, and I don't know. I think there were definitely some flaws in it, but overall, I think it was a pretty good movie. There was multiple layers, and I really appreciated that. But yeah, Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly enjoyed the movie as well. I definitely watch a lot of sci-fi movies. I'd probably give this one, I'd say probably a 7 out of 10, being the harshest of the three of us.
Ooh.
But I definitely still enjoyed it. I enjoyed how throughout the movie it made me kind of start to rethink what I thought and trying to piece together things along, like right along with the main character. Um, there were just some little things that really bothered me, just from like a technology perspective. So we'll definitely get into that later. But I definitely enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, I would definitely
Mhm.
agree with Kyle on that with the technology aspect. But yeah.
Yeah, I could see. I think the difference between me and you guys is that you guys see the technology stuff and it takes away from the movie, and I'll see the technology stuff and I just don't care. It's just like, oh yeah, like, okay, whatever, and then just keep watching. To a point. There are sometimes I will see things that I'm like, I don't know about that. Would either of you care to guess what this movie is rated at on IMDb?
Ooh, I like that. I think IMDb gives it a 6.5.
Six
Yeah,
and a
that was
half,
gonna be my
Brandon.
guess.
Or yeah, it's Brandon. Oh, you both say 6.5.
Yeah.
Okay, so IMDb gives it a 6.9 out of 10,
Hmm.
Ooh,
which I was a
that
little,
basically means
pleasantly
I'm the most
surprised.
right of all of us. So.
I guess so. If you agree with 16,919 other reviews,
I
the
I will
average of
I
those,
am the people's person. What can I say?
you you are the people's voice.
I will push back on that a little bit just because my favorite movie is like a 6 on IMDb, and that might just be like my favorite movie is flawed. majorly, but it I don't like
Right.
IMDb's rating.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think IMDb is a whole lot to go off of because half the movies that I enjoy very much are very poorly received on IMDb, and then half the movies that I enjoy very much, like IMDb loves them. So it, I think it's mostly just me having low standards and being impressed by everything. So
Yeah, I
there's that.
basically what we should preface to the maybe 3 people that listen to this is that we
Right.
are by no means qualified for any of the opinions being said.
Yeah, that's
Right.
a thousand
So
percent
these
accurate.
are in the most literal terms optional opinions. You do not have to listen to them.
Or
But
like them.
we like talking to ourselves. So, you know, that's what we're gonna do. And you can listen if you want, or don't if you don't feel like doing that. But, you know, that'd be cool if you did.
Yeah. All right, let's move
Um,
on to spoilers.
spo spoiler time. So the robot kills the outsider lady at the very end. I'm just gonna dive right into it, even though.
That was,
You
that's
gave
like
you gave
the
them no
least like
time.
important spoiler. Like,
Yeah, yes,
well, I
but
guess that's not true, but
You gave the
I
people,
right.
the one person listening, no time to press pause, and you already ruined it for them.
No, we said spoilers like 5 times. It's gonna be fine.
I
Anyway,
think I think the most important or like the main spoiler here is that Mother turns out to be the murderer of the human species.
yeah, that's true.
I
I
mean,
feel like
Um,
that's the
I feel like that was kind of like, yes, it's a spoiler, but didn't we all kind of like think that that was gonna happen?
Yeah, that I mean that is I will say that is one of the main problems that I had with this movie is like it seems that every single movie I see where there's an AI, it 100% always ends up where the AI is bad. And I appreciate this movie brought in a little nuance to that, but still, speaking in basic terms, the AI, it seems like whenever you show up to, you watch a sci-fi movie and there is a robot character in it, unless it's like a, happy Star Wars droid type character, that robot will end up being evil or doing something not great. And so I'm just really waiting on a sci-fi movie where the robot, while its actions may be questionable, I want to see a movie where the robot actually turns out to be trying to be good because I think that would be the biggest turn of them all. And I guess we can get into it a little bit. That's one of the things I really appreciated about the movie. Um, I still was
okay.
pretty
Well,
sure
first
that
of
the
all,
robot was bad.
clearly you haven't seen the movie Chappie. Okay,
That's okay. I
the
was
best
about
You're
robot
right.
movie
You're
out
right.
there.
Okay,
So
you're
or
right.
I'm
Wally.
gonna take
I
that
forgot about
back.
Chappie. We
Wally.
saw Chappie together.
I never watched Chappie.
I know.
I don't know. Anyway, okay, so besides Chappie, but I said like besides
No, no,
besides
I
the like
completely agree with your
droid,
point. You're
yeah,
right. Yeah, most AIs are evil.
Yeah.
right.
So we just need
So
somebody
but
to make a movie where the twist at the end is that the AI is saving humanity.
And that's
right.
what I
I
thought that.
thought
Oh,
I was hoping that that was going to happen.
that's what
Well,
I
I
was
guess
hoping the
technically
entire
that
time.
is the point, right? Isn't the AI supposed to be saving humanity by making it anew or whatever?
Yeah, I will agree. I was really hoping that you were gonna find out that Mother was like the protagonist and not the antagonist, and I guess they kind of tried to do that. They tried to make her both, I feel like, because like she's obviously the antagonist because she destroyed the human population, but like at the same time she was like raising the daughter and like testing her. And so I don't know.
Right. So here's my thing, and I really appreciate like yes, the robot did do genocide. That's not great. And started killing humans. That's not good.
Yeah, I think we can all agree on
Not
that.
in support of that. But I do think it's interesting. The movie did a really good job, I feel like, of really questioning if you thought that the robot was good, because there were a couple times where like the robot, now we know the robot was lying to daughter, but the outsider, when the outsider, there were a couple of things that the outsider said, and then daughter went to the robot and was like, hey, they said this, what's going on? And the robot, called into and pointed out some valid criticisms. And I thought that was really interesting because it really made um, the human character really, it made the human character a very, I guess, human experience in that she's not perfect and you don't know if you can trust her. Also, the robot sort of like in this world, the robot sort of has a point. When because like this human character comes in, the outsider, and takes daughter and is trying to get her to come outside and is telling her what we later find out to be lies about how they're going to live in the mines and there's going to be a bunch of people and it's going to be awesome. And she just takes her out into this beach at like a, you know, storage, a washed up storage crate. And when daughter gets out there and realizes like, oh, you lied to me too, you know? Even when she said like we can go to the mines, and the outsider was like, no, we can't go to the mines. People like, even if the people were alive, people did terrible things to each other. Like we shouldn't go back there. And in some ways, it proves the robot's point that humanity is messed up, and we need to start over. And so I thought that was a really interesting twist they put into the movie.
Yeah, I totally agree. I really enjoyed how they made the outsider. What is her name, by the way? Did they give her a name?
No, that's something,
Let's see.
or the girl that
Yeah,
came in, or the daughter.
woman
No, I
is
think
all
daughter
the
was
yeah,
just called.
and on IMDb,
Yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
daughter. It's mother is the robot,
Yeah,
daughter is the daughter, and then woman is all that's on IMDb.
they don't give them names at
Uh,
all. I didn't realize that.
no,
That's
Huh.
something that I like took note of during the movie is like I feel like that's kind of like an indication that you know this robot isn't having the best intentions if it doesn't even give the person a name, because like whenever somebody isn't given the name in a movie, it's more so to like almost dehumanize them or something, like.
Yeah.
right,
Have you guys seen Drive,
no.
the movie? No. Okay, never mind. Have you seen Bird Box?
Yes,
Yes.
It's
we've
kind of
talked.
similar
Yes,
to that, where she gives the two kids like son and daughter, or is that what she called them?
right, right. Yeah, yeah.
It's almost to
That
prevent an
yeah.
emotional attachment because there is something very significant about a name.
That's true. Because I mean, we find out that the robot, like, daughter is not the first daughter that mother has had, and mother has definitely like killed previous daughters who didn't live up to the standards that she was looking for.
Hmm.
Um, so I think that that makes it interesting in that the mother won't name. I wonder if that's to show that the robot has emotion, or even that the robot cares about these kids, and the robot knows I can't get too attached because for the good of humanity, speaking in very Machiavellian terms, for the good of humanity, if I am not able to kill this child that I have, like, quote, messed up, basically, then in the robot's eyes, humanity will suffer, and the goal of starting anew will ultimately be lost.
Yeah. I want to talk about how in the very beginning they basically gave away that there had been 7 iterations of daughter already.
I thought it was
Yes.
3. I thought she was the third one.
Well,
Uh,
yeah, I think it's definitely, it's not the first one.
yeah, because they give you that number. I think it was like 13,000 something, which ends up being like 30 some odd years, and which this daughter is
Yeah,
obviously not 30 years old. She's at least half, or probably in her 20s.
I was
Eh,
gonna say like in her teens, but
Yeah, I
yeah,
think I think teens is what they're
Is it
going
teens?
for.
Okay, I
yeah.
was thinking
I think
very
She is
so.
early
she is
20s.
definitely younger than like 35,
Yes. There's no question.
which coincidentally, and we can get into this, it seems to be the age of the woman, which I think is really interesting that she could have been like the first daughter. But anyway, yeah, it was weird. It was interesting that they gave that away very like pretty early.
Yeah, I think they weren't really expecting people to pull out calculators to determine how many years it was, but I definitely did that.
See, I did not, so I didn't even think twice about that little scene. So,
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's I think I think either way, I think either way it works really well because if you're watching it and you just and you don't really pay attention to the days and be like, oh yeah, whatever, then, then it's a twist when you find out that there's more. But I think it creates even a little air of suspense to to show that, and then if you do pull out your calculator, or even if you if you just like start thinking about it more than they either expected you to, or if you think about it as they want you to, you realize like, hold on, that's a lot more than just this one girl's lifetime. What else is going on here? So I think I they could have I have to assume that they put that in there just to make it so you think there is something missing here. There's something that they're not telling us. Um, but then also if you do miss it, then the movie still stands.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. I realized that it was 30 some odd years, and I almost disregarded it. Like I missed something else in the beginning that told me she didn't start growing daughter right away. I didn't think that there was already several iterations.
Right. That's sort of what I went to first as well. Is I saw that and I was like, huh, there's I guess it takes longer to do, like it takes longer to make than that, or like they had
Well,
to get
yeah,
this
and then we
place
found out
ready,
later in the
or
movie that it only takes a day, 24 hours to
right.
create a human.
right.
How'd you feel
Yeah,
about
and
that,
I
Which
guess,
Kyle?
they
well, I mean, I don't know. I guess that didn't like bother me a ton.
uh
I don't know.
So what did bother
That
you?
was one of the things. I think what bothered me most is like just how like technologically advanced Mother was, but yet just some of the things that were like completely overlooked in the movie. Um, which I guess I don't know. There are just some things where it seems like the mother doesn't know things are happening,
uh
and if she's so technologically advanced, I feel like she should know everything that's happening. I guess there's probably theories and good like I don't know, just on the initial watch it seemed like Mother missed a lot of things that were happening on the ship.
Hmm.
right.
Or I
Yeah.
guess not
I
ship, but
The
the
bunker.
bunker or
in the
whatever.
base or whatever. I will say, like when daughter went and opened up the outside doors for the outsider woman, I did think like when that was happening, I was like, how does mother not know what's happening? Like, literally, the doors are opening. Like, there's a lot of noise happening. She's putting on like a radiation suit. It seems like mothers should know what's going on. you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, and that's what I thought at first. And I guess there are two ways to read that. There is the mother is not as smart as you think she is, which I think would make the movie worse. And then there is the mother is incredibly diabolical, which plays into Brandon, that video that you had us watch about this, where at the end, the robot asks, which I think sort of confirmed my suspicions a little bit, but the robot asked the outsider, like just before the robot kills her, like, do you remember your mother? And I just thought, because when she says she was found in the mines, she was adopted by these two parents who just found her. So I'm thinking, you know, this could have been, like, if you wanted to read into it that far, this could have been Mother's plan all along, is to send this first child out and see what humanity does with it, and then bring it back and see how this other child can stand up to, I guess human faults, basically.
Mm-hmm. It was almost like it was her final exam, because like all the tests that she had done, like her entire life, like interacting and making moral decisions with other humans involved, like that was her final.
Right. And I appreciated when they were doing the test, I was partially expecting the robot to, like in that organ example when it was saying, hey, you have five patients that all have different organs that are failing and are going to die. You have one terminally ill patient with good organs that match the rest of the five patients. You could just withhold treatment from this one to save the five. And I was expecting the robot to go sort of the utilitarian, what I think of as like robotic answer, which would be you're gonna save the five, just because the robot, wouldn't necessarily know the implied value of a human life. And then when daughter starts questioning, saying maybe it is a good decision, or when the daughter starts questioning the inherent value of human life, saying, what if these people are murderers? What if these people are bad people? And then the robot asks, sort of sympathetically, like, do you not believe that humans have inherent value? I thought that was really interesting, and it was sort of a turnaround because the robot was sort of the moral figure in that area, and I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, I agree. I thought the whole like moral teachings and the exam were super interesting as well. Because like I still don't fully understand what like what the AI's end goal for humanity was. Like, because if this AI is so smart, then it should know that regardless of how you raise somebody, they're still going to act out from what they've been taught, right? Like that's just human nature. So, like,
Uh-huh.
what does this robot think that they're gonna do differently than like that's the one thing that kind of really bothered me at the end was like, so your purpose is to remake humanity, but if you're not changing anything about their brains or anything about how they think, then eventually they're just gonna end up right back where you started. Like it's just how the world works, right?
Yeah, I think
Right.
the idea is like starting anew with like almost like a base level Adam and Eve, and but like with the foreknowledge of like thousands of years of like philosophy and history at like their will, and so they're able to like prevent certain mistakes that plagued humanity for like thousands of years. And it's almost like seeing things in hindsight, and so I think she's trying to create a superior being in that aspect. But like
Yeah, I guess like if this AI is super smart, my point is like then she should know that once you start repopulating, then eventually, like, there's no way that every child is going to be taught what, daughter is being taught. Or, like, there's no way that, like, once everyone starts repopulating, that they're going to be able to teach literally everybody. I don't know.
Hmm.
I think it's more about creating a culture where knowledge is a little bit more valued than what maybe the previous world's value of knowledge was. Because at that, like, kind of like in our society, knowledge isn't as valued because, like, you can just Google anything on the internet. You don't need to know anything. So,
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, that definitely makes sense.
Hmm.
but I will agree, there's a
So,
little, I feel like, problematic faults with what you're going on.
right. So here's something that I did like about the movie, and it's the very first thing I wrote down, or I guess typed into my phone when watching this movie, was that they gave the robot emotion. And I know, Brandon, you wanted to talk at least a little bit about the robot and like the robot suit and the costume. But I really liked the two little dots that they put
Yes.
on the robot's face, and that gave him really, really good emotion. So I wrote this down when they were doing surgery and they were getting the bullet out of the woman, and that she started like screaming because they were drilling into her and it was gross. I wasn't sure, but it looked like the robot smiled a little bit. That could have been just me, but I saw the dot things move and I was like, "What? What's what's going on here?" Which is interesting, but also I feel like at the same time is I think I could see that as a choice that they made just because like, ooh, evil robot is scary, just to build tension. But then that sort of flies in the face of at the very end, the robot ultimately makes a decent decision in letting daughter live, and daughter basically saying like, I've proved myself, let me take this kid and repopulate the earth, like let me take this kid and retry. And the robot says, oh, basically, okay, go for it. So I think that's in contradiction. If they actually wanted the robot to be enjoying the woman screaming, that feels like a contradiction. But it also plays into they gave the robot emotions and they did it really well.
hmm I think it was really fascinating. I was watching a video on just like the process that they went through making the costume, because that's what it was. It was it wasn't like a puppet or anything. There was somebody inside that costume, and they, with like two little dots, they were able to add a lot of layers of emotion that robot was able to express, which I thought was really fascinating. Just how simple it was, and to have such a dramatic effect that it did. Hey, sorry for the awkward pause in the middle of a podcast, but that seems like what most podcasts do these days, and they usually take this time to thank their sponsors. But being our first episode, we don't have any at the moment. So we'd like to thank you, the listener. More than likely, you're just family, maybe some friends who pity us enough. But nonetheless, thank you. It's really appreciated that you took the time out of your day to listen to us just randomly talk about movies. So it means a lot. All right, back to the show.
All right, so one thing that really bothered me about the movie, which I don't know if I just read into it too much, but whenever they're referring to the other embryos that are stored, which, by the way, if the mother like killed the human race, I don't know how she got 63,000 embryos, but anyway, um, whenever they refer to the embryos, it's always like, hey, these are your brothers and sisters, and this is a big family, and that kind of just disturbed me a little bit because that's like straight up incest. Like I don't
Right.
know, like
That's true.
the
I don't, yeah,
the
I don't know
purpose
how
is to
you plan on
repopulate,
repopulating.
and it's like, I guess if they don't know culture beforehand and what family means, then I guess it's okay. But I don't know.
Yeah,
So that was
that
just
yeah,
something
I could
small that
see.
I like read into a lot. I was like, the first time they're like, "These are your brothers and sisters," I'm like, she's supposed to have a kid with one of those. So
Right.
Yeah. I definitely think she has a different sense of what those words mean because like her mother was a
right,
robot.
yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's yeah, and that's what I think they're like might have been getting at as well. Is it's like family is something different for them than it
Mhm.
is for you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, even yeah, because robots are made, and I guess it's emphasizing that robots would be it's not necessarily like an emotional or even biological experience, or I guess, just it's a strictly biological experience. So there's not as much of a, I guess you could see as a robot looking at it like, oh, this is the best way to get a child unit to be, prepared, well prepared for its future, and therefore we should have family units, in when we're trying to teach these kids, and not necessarily, everything that entails.
They
Yeah,
might not
yeah,
even need
certainly.
to like breed. Like there if she had those many like fetuses or embryos like stored, there's probably a system in place where they can just like extract her eggs and then like fertilize them, you know.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. I guess
So
they didn't really go into that too much. So like, but yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. So I guess we don't know how
We, the
repopulation is
world may
occurring.
never know.
yeah. And it would really
Yeah.
suck if like all of those people were like allergic to gluten because it looked like she was only growing corn.
Right.
Yeah. Something tells me that hopefully she's smart enough to
Yeah,
understand.
edit that out of the gene code.
Yeah.
All right, now we're stepping in even more dangerous boundaries over here.
Um, so what was your favorite part of the movie?
Hmm. I know my
While you're
least
thinking
favorite
about
part.
it, I, yes, I'm asking for your favorite. I will tell you my favorite part. Um, my favorite part, I think was when there was 'cause like I never fully trusted either mother or the woman, which I really appreciated. Like there were definitely genuine times where I was like, is this the movie where the robot is actually the benevolent character in this movie? And it turns out it sort of was. Like there was no cut and dry answer to that question. So I think that was my favorite part. I even have in my notes in all caps. There's like I was just distrust was growing for all the characters, and then when she goes into that uh, crematorium little thingy and finds the the kid's jawbone, I wrote in all caps in my notes, there was a little piece of skull in the burner thing, and I don't trust anybody because the outsider woman had been making weird decisions and saying weird things too. And then after that, said, "Why can I not fully trust this outsider lady?" So I appreciated that it was much more of a. It wasn't just like a cut and dry. Here is the bad person. Here is the good person. It was much more of a, this bad person made a good decision, and this good person made a bad decision. That kind of thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think I agree, and I think that's probably like my favorite part of the movie as well. And honestly, like that's what made my rating higher. Um, is the fact that like I kept second guessing as well, and I was like, oh, well, this person has a point. Like, oh, mother has a point. You know, like I did the same thing. So I think, yeah, I definitely think that's what makes the movie work. It's just like your lack of knowledge and understanding of which character is good, which character is bad, and like
Hmm.
it really helped play into like you're figuring everything out right with daughter. You know, there's no like sudden revelations that happen, you know, outside that we're not like a part of. So
Hmm.
Right.
I'd have to say my favorite part. I did enjoy that as well because I was definitely uh, trying to figure out who was good, and I did appreciate that. But I think my favorite part was I think what Mother's final test was for daughter, and that was killing and shooting her in the CPU. Because like ultimately that doesn't do anything to Mother, but like to daughter, that was like her like only parental figure growing up her entire life, and like yeah, Mother's still alive, but she had to shoot like the thing that she loved, and that like basically turned her into the person that she is today. And like I think it was Mother's final test because Mother was now seen as a threat in her eyes, and to be able to have one of the most ultimate sacrifices to save her brother and the rest of her siblings by getting rid of the threat that she saw as Mother. Like I think that was like another philosophical test underlying that she like gave to daughter. So I appreciated that.
It's a good point.
yeah,
Yeah, I could
yeah,
definitely see
definitely.
that as a philosophical, like the final test, which I think is, I wouldn't be surprised if that was their intention of saying, because obviously we know that like Mother is not technically going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's like like even after she killed the CPU of that one dozer, as the woman calls him, that's not gonna necessarily, we know that's not gonna necessarily affect the rest of them.
Yeah.
So just having the idea of just for her saying, this is, I can do this by myself and I don't need your help. Like it was almost like a thank you for teaching me, and I have
Grown past you.
uh yeah, I've grown past you.
Hmm. Yep. Can I get to my least
Yeah,
favorite part
yeah,
now?
certainly. Yeah,
If you really want, yes.
Okay. My least favorite part in the whole movie was like a technology thing that happens in almost every sci-fi movie, and it always bothers me. And it's like a tracking device like that that Mother put on the outsider's bag. Why does
Uh-huh.
it need to blink? There's no need for that device to blink at all. And every single movie, a tracker device will have a blinking light on it to tell you that it's a tracking device, which is a dead giveaway to anyone that like you're trying to track. It doesn't make sense, and I hate it.
yeah, but
You know,
have we
that's
gotten
a
to the
really
point
good
now
point.
in cinema where you can't designate a tracker without it blinking light though? That's the thing.
Right.
It's a catch 22.
I hate it
Right.
so
Like
much.
we've gotten to a point we've gotten to a point where I can't, like, I don't know if your average, if they didn't have it blinking, I don't know if your average moviegoer understands, oh, that's a tracker. Like she's
I
being
definitely I
tracked.
don't know. I think they would have. It was pretty clear. Like
Like she picks up the
when she
device
pulls
and
it out
then
of her
Mother
bag and
enters.
then mother yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's pretty hard to hint to
Yeah.
that. That is funny.
Yeah, I guess so. Dude,
Yeah.
I never noticed that, and thanks, because now I'm gonna notice it in all these other movies.
It bothers me.
Also, a little mistake. I guess I don't know if this would be my least favorite part, but something I noticed is like, so after the whole scene where, you know, the woman and daughter are trying to escape, and you know, a woman holds the knife to the daughter's neck or whatever, and she ends up cutting her neck. Well, in the next like following few scenes when they're like walking or she's like on the beach or
There was
whatever,
no
like
cut.
that. Well, no, the cut changes positions on her neck.
Oh,
It just
did it?
bothered me so much. Yeah, I
Oh
rewound
gosh.
it and I watched it over and I was like, "Well, did you see this?" Like, and she was like, "Nope," but it really bothered me. So
Oh,
those are
that's
just the
funny.
little things that I
Wow.
see in movies like a lot, and it just bothers the crap out of me. Like, ugh,
That's funny. I
they
don't
just,
I don't see
I just
those
need to
at
like,
all.
yeah, I just need to hire myself out to watch movies and pick up little things like that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's any movie makers out there, hit me up.
Hit him up. His home address is
Yeah.
um I honestly I guess I don't know if I have a least favorite part. There were some things that annoyed me, like you guys said about the technology of where like Mother obviously should be, doing something about this. She's not like I guess she's technically recharging, but you can't, and even like when she was taking the test and Mother leaves the room is like you have until I come back or whatever. It was like, well, why can't like the mother had to go finish some other science projects or whatever. I was just thinking like there's no cameras. You can't you mean you like when she immediately got up and started because at that point they had no at least Mother didn't technically know that woman was there. So we were like, what I was just like, so you mean to tell me that Mother, who is this robot who assumingly like built this whole thing, doesn't know what's going on? Like, even it's
Yeah,
not even
and
like
and I
she's
mean like
asleep and recharging. It's just
I
that
feel
she,
I feel like that's why the theory where Mother planned everything from the start and Mother wanted all these events to happen like has to make sense just because like
right?
there are way
Because
too many things
otherwise
that Mother
it really
wouldn't know
sort of
about.
destroys the movie.
So yeah, that's why I think like the whole theory where, the woman was a daughter at one point and came back and it was all part of Mother's idea, like I feel like that's why it like has to make sense, right? Like because
Mhm.
Yeah.
otherwise like and I mean even with that there's still some things like that really bother me, like why the heck is Mother trying to break into her own bunker? Like that didn't make any sense to me with the machine trying to like saw through the door. Like you should be able to open
Right.
that, like
It might
even
be
Right.
just
after the
Or
whole
mechanical.
reveal, like I guess,
well,
but
yeah,
like
because when daughter went in, she did something to the doors that she like unhooked something, but at the same time, I feel like
I guess,
are there
yeah,
no
Mother let her
other
in.
dozers? Yeah, yeah, Mother let her in, and so she would have had to know what was happening. Also, I don't know why when uh why when she came back were all the lights flickering and everything?
yeah,
That
that
was
kind of
never
bothered me
explained.
too. I agree. Like
Like all of a sudden everything was broken down and that was never explained of like why that was happening because it's not like when they left like I'm trying to remember I don't think when they left they did anything they just the outsider just like put the knife to daughter's neck and then they backed out and then it was fine. Like I don't remember them messing with the power or anything.
Yeah.
yeah, that's the thing that like I feel like that's just the reason why I was more critical. It's just because like it's supposed to be super technologically advanced when some things just like that that doesn't make a lot of sense. Or like is a mouse chewing on that one little line really going to shut down the entire power of the place? Like,
Yeah, no. That mouse would
Right.
have been
you
dead if
know,
that was the case.
right? Exactly. Like, there's just some things that are just like, I get like why you needed that for the movie, but that just doesn't make super
Speaking of
much
the
sense.
mouse,
So.
do you think that Mother placed the mouse there? Or did the
That's
mouse
something that
somehow...
like I did think about after the whole like, theory that mother planned everything and like I
Uh-huh.
don't know.
I think it was another
I
I
test
feel
to
mean,
like
see
either
how
way
she
it
dealt with
works.
death.
Yeah, that
how she
definitely
dealt
could have
with
been.
the death. Yeah. I mean, that's one thing to be like, I guess, to understand how she feels about it when mother takes this mouse in this water bottle and shoves it into a burning fire. If daughter's just like, oh yeah, I mean, I guess that's what we have to do. I don't know if that sets off red flags for mother, or if mother's like, okay, she appreciates that life is important. You know,
Hmm. Yeah,
one
that's kind of what
thing
I was thinking about.
that I one thing that I really liked, this doesn't really have anything to do with the movie itself, um, or I guess the story itself, but the cinematography in the when the lights first go out and daughter is walking around the halls and everything's dark and she has that light, I think that was awesome. Like my favorite shot, I think, in the whole movie when she's like going down this really long hallway and she's just like quietly, slowly walking down, and it's like right in the middle of the screen. She's walking down, it's like perfectly symmetrical, and there's just this one little illuminated like hallway, and the rest of the screen is just like just getting darker and darker. And it just shows how at that point in the movie she is like without mother online, she is at that point like she is alone. Like she cannot see anything besides just this tiny little hallway. Um I really liked that shot. That was a good shot.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah, that's super cool.
now that you talk about it, I didn't really think much about the cinematography for during that, but it kind of almost has like a full circle effect throughout the movie. Like you're saying, it's like she's alone without mother, with her being powered down, and then at the end, it's kind of like she goes into the room with all the different embryos, and like she is the mother now. Um,
Uh-huh.
which I also think the title was playing into her becoming the mother.
Yes.
I remember thinking during that scene though that she shouldn't have anything that she should be scared of. You know what I mean? Like she probably
Uh-huh.
didn't grow up watching um well, I guess I don't know. But like I don't know why she'd be scared because if she's convinced that her and mother are the only things there and that there's nothing else outside, like why would she be scared? And then a loud crash happened, and then I was like, okay, that's justified to be scared now.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know
Like,
how that
are you saying
works.
why was she scared of like outside or?
No, why was she scared of the power being out? Like they were going to great lengths to show us that she was kind of freaked out that the power's gone, and it might have just been that mother wasn't around and she wasn't used to mother not being around. But
Right. Well, we've seen her before, like when Mother powers down, we've seen her watching, like watching Johnny Carson and doing that kind of stuff. So I don't know, maybe it's just sort of the subconscious thing of Mother is not, maybe she knew that Mother was like sort of an all-encompassing AI, or just at least subconsciously, because the lights were on, Mother is asleep, but the lights are on, I know I'm safe, the facility's working, that kind of thing, compared to when the lights are off, like mother's not here and also the lights are off and like I have to fend for myself. Like that idea of being fully alone, because I think before she'd been alone, but she had never been almost abandoned. Whereas, in that moment she probably felt abandoned because there was literally nothing else in the facility.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I just thought that was interesting.
Another great cinematographic, I don't know, another great piece of film that I really liked in the movie was in the beginning when um she was doing like she would do like the dancing and she would play out by the door, and it was this really interesting contrast of natural light versus just sort of the sanitized, harsh, like bright white lights of the bunker. Like there were these really in the bunker there were these really harsh angles to everything, and the light was it was very it's either white or there is no light. There's nothing there's no like dim light. And then when she was playing outside, there's just this like warm glow that's coming from outside that is sort of to me being like this is this thing is not supposed to be here. This doesn't belong here. And that was further emphasized to me when when we saw the child version of daughter playing with and sort of cuddling with mother, and mother is this robot, like this very hard metal robot, and this child is playing with it, this like soft fragile child playing with this giant hunk of metal is really interesting to think about, where like this kid is not home. While this feels like home, this is not a natural environment. Okay, so I mean, yeah, we all liked the movie, and you heard that we enjoyed the movie, but also had problems with it, which is probably going to be most of these podcasts. Um, and now, just I guess to wrap things up, we're going to talk a little bit about things that we've seen that are coming, that are exciting, that we think are going to be cool. So, if nobody else has anything off the top of their head right now, I can start. Kyle, if you.
Yeah, I mean, so recently I've always enjoyed watching like things involving Formula One racing, just because like I don't know, I'm like an adrenaline junkie at heart, and so like I enjoy watching those races. And so there is a movie coming out in the future, which hopefully we'll get to see and maybe even talk about. It's called Ford versus Ferrari, which I'm pumped about. I also just watched a documentary slash mini series on Netflix called like Formula One Drive to Succeed or something. I don't remember the exact name of it, but it's super good. And if you're at all interested in Formula One, definitely check it out.
All right.
And yeah,
I
Davis.
I'm right in the middle of watching the Grand Tour, which is it's a little like Formula One. I think if you've ever heard of Top Gear, the British Gear, it's the same three guys that did that. I think they're hilarious, and also they do all kinds of really cool stuff. I'm actually in the middle of a Mongolian episode, and they literally these three dudes, like three older British dudes, they go to the middle of Mongolia, and they get airdropped the pieces to this car, and so they like build a car and drive across Mongolia. Like I haven't finished it yet, but just they they're like really three really good longtime friends, and I just think it's great. It's called the Grand Tour. It's on Netflix. They're in season 3 right now. I think they're making more. Also, I'm pretty sure Top Gear, the British Top Gear, is on Netflix. Or sorry, Grand Tour is on Amazon Prime Video. Top Gear is on Netflix. But the thing that is upcoming that I just recently heard about, which I don't know if you guys have heard about. Um, so as everybody knows, Disney is making live action reboots of things, which to me is a shameless cash grab, and I am 100% on board, and I plan on seeing all of them.
Well, anything Disney, Davis will be there,
Yes, I will be
regardless
there.
of cost. So
Yes. Um, I recently got word from some of my Disney friends this week that there is a Hercules movie, live action movie, set to be made, starring none other than Chris Pratt as Hercules,
Oh,
which,
man.
yes, yes, there you go. So Chris Pratt is Hercules, which, quick side note, I just want to say, call me hipster, whatever, but I liked Chris Pratt when he was on Parks and Rec before anybody even knew about him. And then he was Star-Lord, and everybody was like, "Oh, he's amazing," and I was like, "Yeah, I know. I've already known that." Anyway, Chris Pratt is Hercules. Anna Kendrick is Megan, and
Yep,
then we're
yep,
gonna
I'm down.
have Danny DeVito is reprising his role as
Ooh,
Phil. Yes, and then Jeff Goldblum will be Hades.
Yeah, dude. Oh, that's gonna be so good.
that sounds like a pretty good
No
cast.
Yes,
doubt.
I'm excited. I think it's gonna. I think I saw it doesn't come out till like 2022, but I mean, that's gonna be really good.
Hmm.
Super
That
pumped.
that does sound good. Um, so I am currently watching House of Cards for the first time. I know it's been out for quite a while,
Ooh.
and I'm
Me and Kyle have both seen House of Cards.
yes.
True
So
story.
no spoilers, please. I'm watching it with my fiance. We're doing a long distance relationship, and we watch it at the same time and are able to talk about it. So it's nice. So that I'm pretty excited about because it's really good so far, and I'm looking forward to the. I'm still in season 1, and so I'm looking forward to the next couple of seasons. I think it's 5 seasons long. Is that right? Can you confirm? I don't know.
I think
There
it's
might be six now.
6? Okay.
six. I think it's six.
I haven't seen the most recent season.
Okay.
Yeah, the
I'm still a
most
little
I
behind.
did see the most recent season because I have a problem with putting things down, and I just like had it wasn't that great, but I just had to finish it. Like the last season, if you really wanted to, you probably wouldn't have to watch it. But I'm looking on Netflix right now. There are, yeah, 6 seasons.
Okay.
Season 5, it's sort of weird. I would say 1 through 4 is like best bet. Those are good seasons. And
Yeah,
then,
and I mean, like the first two seasons, I think are just like super good, and then after that, it
yeah,
kind of goes downhill a little bit, but it's
Hmm.
still, I still enjoy that show. So
Okay.
yeah.
Um, a movie trailer that I saw the other day, and it's only a teaser, so there's like they don't have any of like what the actual story is in the trailer, but it looks like the entire movie is practical effects, and it's called The Dark Crystal, Age of Resistance. Age of Resistance. I can't talk. Um, and like all, it looks like they're all puppets, and I don't know. I'm a very like huge into practical effects, and I think it just looks really good. It kind of reminds me of like the aliens from like Star Wars 4 through 6, like those kind of. They look like those kind of creatures. Um, and I'm super excited about it. I don't know when it comes out. It's not for a while though. So
yeah, that sounds very interesting.
That does sound
I
interesting.
would
I'm
look up the
watching
trailer.
the teaser trailer right now. Yeah, that looks cool. It's what without sound, but yeah. Ooh. Ooh.
So
Let
I
me
was
see if they
originally,
put
when I
it.
first saw that trailer, I was like, "Oh, this would be a great movie for our first episode," but it doesn't come out for a while. I remember that, and I
Hold on. It's Jim Henson. That's what. Okay. The Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. And coming to Netflix. Only on Netflix, August 30th. So it's coming out sooner than you think.
it's June, right? Yeah.
Yes, it is
Yeah.
June right now.
So
Oh, also, I looked it up, and it's called Formula One Drive to Survive. That's what I was trying to plug.
Okay.
Anyway,
wait, were
Okay.
you
that's it.
plugging that, or is that the same as Ford versus Ferrari?
No,
Ferrari.
so Ford versus
Ferrari.
Ferrari is a movie that's coming in theaters. and it's about like, what happened it's like in the past.
Yeah.
The Formula One Drive to Survive is like a mini series that Netflix put
Oh,
on, and it
gotcha.
was about the 2018 season.
Okay.
So like it's all very recent, and it's like a very well done mini series, and I really enjoyed it. So.
Okay, cool. Well, it sounds like there's a lot for us to talk about. I don't think we'll be running out of topics, that's for sure.
Yes, I definitely don't think we will run out of things to talk about.
Yep. All right, next episode over Aladdin. No, I'm just kidding. We're not doing that.
Next episode, I will be watching. I actually already did watch Aladdin. I thought it was decent. Anyway, yeah, next episode will be about a thing that we all want to talk about. Thanks for listening to this episode. And I mean, if you want to leave a review, that'd be cool. If you want to subscribe, that'd also be cool. But
If you
don't
think
want
we
to,
earned
then,
it.
Like, sure, yeah. If you think we earned it,
Even if you
think
don't
that
think we
our-
earned it, we appreciate it. So.
yeah,
Whatever
you
your
think-
motives are, it's okay with me.
right.
You
It's if you subscribe just because you have nothing better to do, I am fine with it, as long as you hit that button. So yeah, do that.
At
Go
the
ahead,
very
do that.
least, just download the podcast and then delete it so it shows that we have downloads. That'd be great.
Yes. So that we get if we could get, I would be shocked if we had over like
One.
maybe 5 downloads. Yeah. All right. Okay. So we don't know how to end this. So see ya next time.
Goodbye.
Peace.
Goodbye. All right.